Greetings, and welcome to When the Moment Chooses You. I am your host, Coach Charlene, and I am extremely delighted to have a repeat guest, Bianca, in the house. What's up, Bianca?
Hey, how are you? So happy to be
Hey,
here.
yeah, I'm so happy to see you. So we have a lot to unpack here. I'm not even going to go into my description because I think most people know that I started this because I wanted to share stories of trailblazers and change agents that dared to dream, that dared to disrupt their system or themselves, and then decided to do something different or to elevate their own well-being. And so why don't you first of all tell us who you are? So tell us, who is Bianca?
Yes, thank you so much, Charlene, for having me. I appreciate the conversation again. And shortly, you'll be out on my podcast as well. So looking
Yay!
forward to it. Yeah, so thank you for the invitation. So essentially, I'm Bianca Ariel. I'm a career and business strategist. I actually started my career on the clinical path. So I don't think you know that. So I thought that I
Mm-mm.
was going to go to PA school and decided that I needed to pivot quickly during the internship hours. And so that's where I started to kind of blaze into business and on the administrative side of healthcare, and just ended up working actually in career development for a allied health medical college in Atlanta, fairly young. And then through an experience I had with one of the VPs where she was really trying to belittle my light, I decided that I was going to take control of my own career path. So I went back to school to pursue an MBA and then relocated to Los Angeles and started a career in the pharmaceutical industry. And so I worked in LTC, promoted a neuroscience portfolio, President's Club, managed, major territories, and then reached a pivotal point in my career where I was truly supposed to be happy and had all the things, but then was completely unfulfilled.
Mm.
So I embarked on a journey to really self educate. This is when social media was fairly new. I got a certification in online media marketing to really understand what was going on. The same thing that we need to do in reference to AI right now, right? Is just really start
Right.
to learn more. And then through that experience, I opened up my own independent consulting practice to focus on helping holistic practitioners grow their brands. Because I was working for the pharmaceutical industry and I realized that there's so much energy, time, resources being poured into educating physicians on medication, but we really don't have a lot of education around holistic practices in the space. And so I really wanted to help holistic practitioners really build their sales and marketing business acumen. And so through that experience, I tried all different kind of things, in like took lateral positions to see if this job was going to make me happier, more money was going to make me happier, and essentially I found myself at the year in, I would find myself in the same position all over again, just really completely unfulfilled. And so there was a program called Remote Year, which is an opportunity for entrepreneurs to travel all over the world together. And I have a passion for travel. And so I decided to take a leap of faith and leave my career to start traveling the world and then run my practice independently. Through that experience, I started to work as the associate director of strategy for med tech companies and start freelancing and really develop my marketing skill set. And then through my own endeavors, I started to work with a lot of high achievers, physicians, nurse practitioners, nurses, a lot of individuals that were really high performers in the healthcare space that needed a lot of career development and mindset
Mm.
coaching. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where I kind of implemented that into my practice, where it's a hybrid opportunity to not only grow your business but also develop your career and your mindset, and which we call the Recalibrated Career Academy. So I've been doing that now for like the past 6 years or so, and then most recently really specialized and focused on physicians who are moving outside of conventional medicine, and just kind of started my podcast and kind of rocking it since then.
Yes. Oh my God. You have said so much. So I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna crawl back
Yeah,
a
yeah,
little
yeah,
bit
yeah.
because you said something very significant, and I think a lot of people in my audience are in that space where they do have their careers. They're doing the thing, but they're very unfulfilled. So I love how you chose to pivot. So can you kind of unpack that a little bit? Like what was going on with Bianca, even though you were like making all of this money? Like what was it that helped you to shift into that pivot? Because I think a lot of the audience that listen to mine in particular, they're kind of in between. in that valley of decision, trying to say, okay, I know I want to do something else, but I just don't know how to do the thing. So what could you say to that type of person?
Yeah, absolutely. So, knowing what I know now, and especially through the work that I do, the first thing I would say is just listen to yourself, listen to your intuition, right? Because we go on this kind of journey of discovery, which is essentially beneficial to really figure out what is going on with us. I mean, I was in therapy, and I could talk about my personal experience as well. So, essentially, like I mentioned before, I reached the pinnacle of my career, which is President's Club. So, as a sales rep, if you're the top of the company, you're working to get into what is called President's Club, which is the top sales reps in the company, right? So, I did
Mm-hmm.
that in like the first year. And so I loved what I did, but essentially I was being underpaid. So, I transitioned to another position that had a higher title and also paid significantly more. And then I started essentially doing the same type of work. And I just didn't I had the apartment downtown LA, the high rise, the relationship. I had everything that I thought, like all the check boxes were marked really
Yeah.
quickly in my career. And I would look out the window and feel immediately depressed. I just didn't feel
Mm-hmm.
like I was making a true difference. I feel like I was working in my zone of genius, but the impact that I was making wasn't resonating in my soul.
Okay.
And
That's
so
good.
yeah, and so that in itself was enough for me to go into a deep depression. Now knowing what I know now, I was going through a spiritual awakening and really kind of trying to reconnect with God and my purpose and figure out what it is I was meant to actually do in this earth, in this on this earth. And, at the time, I really didn't know. Now, what I know now is we're always on our path, right? So you're
Right.
not in the wrong position. If you're starting to feel, all of these things, please do whatever you need to do to really go through self discovery and figure out what it is. And there's no need to rush. And when the decision is going to be made to make a change, when it's going to happen. It's just going to happen, right? So essentially, I was just in a position where I was really unfulfilled. So the first thing I did was just try to educate myself on exactly what I can do to get out of the situation. But the hardest thing is just kind of letting go of a career that you work so hard for, and then also the salary, right? It's like I was making
Right.
so much money, and it was like the golden handcuffs. Like I had a
Oh
company
yeah.
car, a company credit card. I lived in downtown Los Angeles. I was on my own schedule. I had freedom, and I was doing essentially. I'm not anti-pharma. I loved what I did. I was promoting a neuroscience portfolio, so it was very, intriguing and challenging, and I really loved what I did. But I just wasn't truly fulfilled. And actually, when I left to go pursue other positions that were similar to what I was doing in LTC and educating just on different products like respiratory oncology, it's
Mm-hmm.
just I nothing was filling that gap. So I knew it was time for a change. So essentially, um, I left to go do remote year, and then I actually came back. So my savings was depleting, and so I came back and still took another role to, maybe this is going to be different. I prefer to have money than not have money, and that didn't fix the decision. So I tried everything I could. I really did
Yeah.
to try to figure this out, and nothing was working. So I knew after that I was going to have to make a complete change. And so it was right before 2020, actually, is I started a travel company with one of my best friends at the time. And we were going to take, women to South Africa, Cape Town, because that's where we met. And we had all of this put together. And so I actually quit my job with another business pending, ready to go. And then the pandemic hit. So I
Mm.
was just kind of left in the space where I was just going to have to continue coaching and consulting, freelance and work for other marketing companies and just kind of leverage my experience to do what I can do in order to sustain until God revealed what path what I was supposed to take moving forward.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. I think what is so profound about it is really listening. I think that there's a whisper that goes on within us all the time, especially when we start getting restless. When we start getting restless, because it took me a long time to actually respond to the whisper. So I was misaligned for so long, which really created soul pain,
Mm-hmm.
kind of all the things that you talked about. So, why do you think so many people have challenges? With this little part in the middle of
Yeah.
actually making the leap, because you're not happy, you're depressed, like how long did it take you to shift into fulfillment? What would you say?
Oh, it took me. I mean, I think, to be honest, I think we are we are human beings that naturally evolve, and if we're not growing, we're dying. So I feel like there's
Yes.
always, if you're on this path, right, to really pursue purpose, I first and foremost had to understand that it is okay to just be, right? So you
Yes.
don't have to be, if you don't know what decision to make, that is okay. Sit in this space. So I
That's
know
good.
that we could look back and say, like, I wish I would have made this decision a long time ago. That's very true, but we didn't have all of the information, the insights, and the data that we have now in order to make the decision. So I do want people to give themselves grace, right?
Yes, absolutely.
But in that same token, I think for me it was, and for a lot of people, is everything that we've done so far has been very clear and mapped out for us. Okay.
Right.
So in order, if we want to do this, we want to take on this career, we want to do this, it's pretty much already been done. We're following whatever that path is. But when you feel like this whisper that you know that you're meant to do something more, that you know you don't want to spend your life doing this, and I think that waiting space is just trying to sit and figure out what next. Like, you're trying to find that clarity. And what I tell my clients and what I now know is that clarity comes through action. So if
That's
you're
right.
sitting in this space and you know that you're depressed, you know that you're unfulfilled, and you're not doing anything about it, that's where the soul pain is coming from. But a
Yes.
lot of people are waiting to uncover this clarity, or for something to come to them, to give them that direction. And that happens with a lot of programs and stuff like that. You're waiting for someone else to kind of lay the path out for you.
Right.
But, the clarity comes through the action. That's the only, like, I work with clients that say, like, I'm just still doing research and I'm collecting data, which is fine, right? But that truly comes through the action.
Yeah, because I mean, honestly, we know that whenever you decide that I'm going to do something different, when you become conscious and awakened that is something else for me to do, your brain is going to try to shut you down because it wants you to stay miserable. It wants you to stay uncomfortable, right? And so that's just kind of what it is. So I really love how you said that. What did you say that statement again about clarity?
The clarity comes through action.
Through action. Oh my God, that is so profound. So
Hmm.
you mean to tell me I can't just sit there and just keep studying about the thing?
No. So when you and I, Charlene, talked, that was really profound when I interviewed you for my podcast, is when you said that you actually moved out of your position and you took time to yourself to
Yes.
really reflect, right? So that could be mistaken for not taking action, but you
Yeah.
were sitting in with yourself and you were journaling and you were trying to figure out exactly what it is that you wanted to do next, and figure out exactly what it is you're looking for. That is action as well. It's
Right.
the non-action is when we're staying in careers that no longer fulfill us. We're complaining about it, we're unfulfilled, we're depressed, but we keep going through the same mundane schedule. We're still in a hamster wheel and we're not taking any action to seek clarity beyond that. So action doesn't have to look like what we're programmed to,
That's right.
to make it look, to look like. So clarity comes through action. Yes, we're waiting for the answers to come to us, and they do, in like a spiritual sense, right? We're going to get downloads from the universe and from God, but essentially you have to be actively doing that work in order for
Yes.
us to seek the clarity that you need, in order to take the next step. Not to figure out what the entire plan is going to look like. That's another
Right.
thing, is like,
Yes.
what do I need to just do next in order to take progress moving forward?
Yeah, that is so rich and that's so good. And it's so true because like I couldn't because I knew what I wanted to do, but you know how you get conditioned to
Yes.
be busy. I mean,
Yes.
we're conditioned, especially as a nurse. I've been trained to be busy. I've been trained to pack everything in and never stop, never to take care of myself. And so when it was time for me to actually pause, that's kind of when it was like, oh my God, Charlene, you are just creating busyness for yourself, girlfriend. You free now. What are you doing? So, but it came with like peeling off those layers and saying, you know what? This is not going to define me. This is not my norm busy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna actually rewire my brain to show that I can be intentional and
Mm-hmm.
pause and still move forward and do the things that I'm really ordained to do. So I really appreciate your just everything that you're saying, Bianca, because I think so many people are going to be blessed by just your insights on today. Because some people are waiting when it's time for them to move. So thank
Yes.
you for that. So tell us now, Bianca, tell us some more about what you're doing. I saw some of your podcast episodes. So tell us about that because I want people to subscribe and check it out because it is the
Yeah.
bomb.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, essentially. So, through my experience in moving out of the pharmaceutical industry to really pursue other endeavors and leverage the experience that I had and so far to kind of really make an impact elsewhere, I realized that a lot of people were doing the same thing.
Mm,
And so, through my journey, I started to work with physicians who were really interested in understanding what it's like to create businesses and services outside of the traditional sector. And I wanted to give them a safe space to really start to talk more, not only physicians, but also health visionaries.
yeah,
Because a lot of times, like, and I was an external vendor. So I was used to dealing with physicians and healthcare practitioners in a different way. And so I really kind of wanted insight on exactly what their journey was and how they're leveraging their expertise in order to create these holistic offers beyond the traditional healthcare system. And I just really have a passion for it. And I think that we need to educate people on not only other holistic ways of healing. I think that's one that fantastic, but also the visual of seeing other high achievers, do the same thing that they want to do, I think is powerful as well. And then
yeah,
learning from their actual journey, just like you are doing here. So that's what I'm doing right now is really interviewing physicians and healthcare visionaries who are using their healthcare experience to really create an impact outside of the traditional system. So that could be direct primary care, functional medicine, coaching, just so that they can really inspire others inside and outside of the healthcare system to do the same. And then eventually, what I want to do is evolve it into really interviewing people all around the world who are living non-conventional lifestyles. So anybody that is really challenging the system, and it's a very lonely journey when you feel like you're just one of one. So
yeah.
imagine what it feels like to leave all of your colleagues who are successful, who are doing well, to say like, this is not for me and walk away. It's a very extremely lonely journey. And so I want to kind of like created a space for us to kind of share our journeys so that you feel like you understand that you're not alone.
Yeah, that is so good. You know, you said something earlier too, Bianca. It just came back to me about that journey of self discovery. So I'm wondering because the professionals that I've met, the healthcare, the nurses, the physicians, the all of the people in healthcare in particular, a lot of them struggle with self discovery. Like they are their title, and so they don't like go. It's a little bit more challenging for them to deep dive. So, what have you found since you are focusing on physicians? Is it more challenging for them? Like, what's that all about?
Yeah. So it's interesting. So it depends.
Yeah. Well, and I
um,
know that it's not going to be like a blanket for
yeah,
all,
yeah,
but it's
yeah.
just
No, no,
very
no.
interesting that I found that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is very good. So the one thing I've noticed is okay, for physicians specifically, I respect all of them the same. So I always say doctor like first name, right? That's
Yeah.
just how I've always been, right?
Right.
But there's like this inner, thing where it's like they don't want to be called doctor their first name, or women physicians feel like people call them by their first name, but then they call male physicians by their last name. So I was like, okay, I'll call everybody doctor last name because it's their title and they, that you want to feel
Yes.
respected, right? And that's fine. So a lot of physicians, how can I say this? Uh, okay. Some physicians live by their title. Yes, they work very
Yeah.
hard to get to where they're at. And that's anybody with, graduate degrees, anybody who have done significant, even nurses who
Absolutely.
have doctorates. You definitely want to respect that. But they identify with that. Their ego is attached to it. And it's very hard for them to separate self from their actual title, right? And that's just how they operate. But when I work with physicians who are already on their journey of self discovery or already have awakened to the fact that there is more outside of this system, most of those interactions, they've already done the internal work to understand that they are not their title and they're more than just a physician. Because you
Yeah.
don't only want to look, they're human beings as well. And that's another thing.
Exactly.
It's like, you'll be surprised how many physicians are very attached to their title, but also don't know their worth.
Exactly. That is that part right there, because
Okay,
that's
yeah.
that's the part that I'm talking about and I want to
Yeah.
unpack, because I'm blown away by it, to be honest. The ones that I've kind of had an opportunity to do a little bit of coaching, I'm just like, oh my God, like you are amazing. What
Yeah.
is up with you? So
Yes.
that's so good. So you help people to unpack that, like to help them to
Yes.
find their worth and their value.
Absolutely. Yes. You will be shocked how many physicians are, and just people in general, but how many people are attached to their titles, attached to their income, attached to their societal status, but don't know their worth. So
Yes.
that kind of goes hand in hand too, right? If
Yeah.
you identify with this and this is how you feel worthy, then of course, if you're challenged in that way, then you're going to feel like it's a personal attack, right? If someone doesn't call you doctor last name, it's more than just not feeling respected. It's almost like this is where I find my worth. So if I feel like this is being attacked, then I'm taking it personally because that's how I see my worth. Whereas
Yeah.
people who understand that they've done the work to get into these places and that they are experts in whatever space they speak of and they know what their purpose is on earth, and they know their zone of genius, they know where their strengths are, their weaknesses are, and but they know that they are worthy just to be those people. I realize they don't care what you call them, like
Yeah.
just, I don't care
Yep.
what you call, I know my worth and I'm not attached to my title.
Yeah, that's good stuff there. That's really good, because like it literally goes beyond even the physicians, like just nurses, and the ones that I've ran into, and I mean they literally, if you have been in the profession for more than 15 years,
Yes.
like come on, you're an expert at
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
And so it's funny. I was on this like master class, and this is right when I was just starting to think about consulting and coaching and things like that, because I was just doing it because that's what I love to do. I didn't really try to do it like for business purposes. I just love touching people.
Hmm.
And so she was like, she said, put in the chat how many years y'all been in the profession. And I was almost scared to put mine in there because I knew she was gonna call it out, right?
Uh-huh.
And she was like, wait a minute, 20 what years? You know what? I'm done with you.
Hmm.
You're an expert. You better start, and you better start immediately.
Yes.
So it was some there with 40 years, 30 years that just did not feel that they were valuable enough to contribute, even though they've been in it for 30, 40 years. So that mindset shift is so humongous. And so I really love that you're doing like mindset type of
Hmm.
work. And so
Hmm.
that's amazing. So okay, so tell us what else you're doing, because I want to. I know we're kind of we got here really fast.
Yeah. Sure.
But I want to know, like, what are you doing? What do you offer for the ones that are listening? Do
Yeah.
you only work with physicians? Do you can you help other
Yeah,
people?
so I work with visionaries in general. So I
Okay.
don't only work with physicians, but I do have a specialization in healthcare, right? And so essentially, I work in what we call the Recalibrated Career Academy. So it's a hybrid career and business strategy program. So the first half of the program is really figuring out what it is you want to do next, right? And then making sure that it resonates with who you are today, not who you were yesterday or who you want to be in the future, because we don't know that yet. And a lot of times we're focused on either or instead of actually who you are today and what those next steps are going to look like. The world is changing and evolving. And the reason why I called my practice Recalibrated Vision is to give us permission to release and reset and reinvent ourselves consistently and just kind of stay abreast of what's going on. So that's what we take a look at first is like what is resonating with you today, and then what is that going to look like next. So that could be the next half of the program is either career development, career transition, or business growth, right? So based on those things, we kind of take a look at what we need to develop, what careers would be better aligned for you if it's time to make a transition, or what type of business that you're looking to transition into. So, for example, I'm working with an OBGYN who came to me who started with just wanting time management, right? Wanting a better schedule. And it could be something as simple as how do you have that conversation with the hospital group? Like, I am overworked, I'm charting late at night, like what can we do to reduce our hours? It could be something simple as that.
Yeah.
To okay, now understanding more of what she's looking to do. She enrolled in IFM to get her certification in functional medicine. She wants to open up a menopausal coaching practice. And then she also just got a new position at a better hospital group with better hours, better charting. And she's actually getting up and moving out of a toxic environment to start that fresh new life. And really, I am not only a strategist, but I'm also the partner and the accountability source in order for them to make it happen. And one thing that I realized in my own worth is understanding that, like, I didn't only have to provide business services in order to be beneficial, that my actual calling is really to help people transform their career into their actual calling, and then help, be their partner along the way. And so that's essentially the piece that I provide.
Oh, that's really awesome. So I'm wondering, do you have to, because, if you're shifting from, let's say, your 9 to 5 to alternative practice,
Mm-hmm.
like, do you also offer some type of, because I can imagine that there's some healing sometimes that has to take place,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, yeah, so at this point, everything is truly customized. I've done
Okay.
everything to try to make, group settings and try to scale as best as possible. But through the work that I do, it really is customized and tailored.
Okay.
So essentially, I work with physicians like on annual basis. And so they see me every other 2 weeks. And we essentially take one session at a time to really kind of map out what that vision looks like and then move it forward. And then through my experience, I don't work on strategy, I work on principles, because everybody is different. So we
Yeah.
focus on vision, belief, worth, strategy, system, consistency, and accountability. And then we kind of move and map out the best plan moving forward then.
Wow, that is pretty amazing. I'm so, so,
Yeah.
so excited for you. And that is so, it sounds so like amazing and like a breath of fresh air for those that need the services. So thank you for that. And I always, as we get ready to end, talk
Uh-huh.
about the three wisdom gems. So I want to know, what is Bianca's top three?
So repeat that. I'm sorry, you cut out a little bit.
So, like your wisdom gems, I always like to leave
Oh,
them with
yes.
like three wisdom gems of, it doesn't, I'm not going to define it, but three wisdom gems. If Bianca had to tell somebody the top three things that, from your heart and your experience, what would that be?
Yes, absolutely. So one of the things that I realized that I really am excellent at is really meeting people where they're at. So I realize in a lot of programs that I've taken, or mentors that I've had, it's almost like they're creating like a carbon copy of what has made them successful. And a lot of my failures have come from listening to others. So one of
Mm,
the things that I love that I do is kind of really actively listen to what it is my client is looking to do and bring out their own wisdom and their encouragement and their advice, and then kind of just formalize and crystallize it for them so that I can give them the affirmation they need to move forward. And I realized that was extremely different than what is in the marketplace. So the first gem I have is, stop listening to others and listen to yourself.
that's
um,
good.
I really, really encourage that, because the vision that you have and what is inside you, I would encourage you, if you are looking for support, look for someone who is going to help bring that out of you, and not
Yes,
try to create a carbon copy of whatever has worked in the past. I think that that is the programming and the conditioning that we have gotten already. And so if you wanted to do that, take the traditional route. But if you're trying to create something that is coming from the soul, make sure that you're your best advisor first. So
that
that's
is so good. Wow,
that's
that's so good.
yeah, that would be my first one. The second one is, it is a truly a healing process to really go and embark on a journey outside of what you are accustomed to. And that is something that you're going to continue to learn along the way. So when you're moving out of a system, it's hard because you're trying to still operate like you're in a system. So you still want to, you run your business like a 9 to 5. You still want structure and organization. You still want the clear foundation. You still want everything to look a certain type of way, because you do want it to be a great representation of yourself. But you have to understand, you have to give yourself grace and realize that if you don't feel like working that day and you don't have the clarity that you need, that's okay. Like, if you feel like working from p.m. to 1 a.m., that's okay. It doesn't have to look like that. If you want to launch without a website, or if you have a mistake on a social media post, or you don't like the way you look on camera, that's okay. We have to move past that and really focus on the message that you're trying to deliver and the service that you're trying to provide, and move through the ugliness, because it's not going to look like the way that you did it in corporate or what you're used to. And I think that's holding a lot of people back, is
Yeah.
design it the way that works for you. All right. So that would be the second. And the number three is, you're already in your purpose. So I think that we have this thing where, like, we're on our journey and, like, we're healing and all of those, and we're like trying to go and reach this like ideal destination. I don't think it really exists. I think
Right.
that to focus on being understanding that you are whole and complete wherever you are in that time and moment, and really try to focus on enjoying your life in your present step, and do whatever you can to enjoy your now, is really the recipe for success. Because I've even hit goals that I wanted to achieve in entrepreneurship, and I've achieved the lifestyle that I wanted, and I'm traveling the world, and all of that is extremely fulfilling, and I'm in a better position than I was when I was working in corporate. But there's always going to be like this next thing, and I feel like what I'm working on right now is just focused on being happy on where I am now, because I think that's the ultimate gift. Because if we don't focus on that, we're going to wake up one day and our time is going to be gone. And it's like,
Yeah.
we've been chasing our whole life. It's like, when did we ever reach our place, our destination? So your destination is here and now. So do what you can with it.
That is powerful. Absolutely powerful, because nothing else happens except, I mean, unless you're present. Now, like, I'll just think about like the people, our relationships, when you're not there. Like, we just lost a dear, loved one. It's finished. It's
Yeah.
finished. And so that now moment is so important. That's so
Yes.
good, Bianca. That is really good. So why don't you tell everybody how they can get in touch with you if they want to get your services?
Absolutely. Thank you, Charlene, for this space. I really appreciate it and enjoyed it. So, yes, you can find me on LinkedIn at Bianca Ariel MBA. And then also you can go to recalibratedcareeracademy.com. And then also look for me on YouTube under Dear Bianca Ariel Recalibrated Vision podcast. And then I also have a new YouTube channel with my partner where we're traveling the world. And it's our travel vlogs under Ariel and Marie.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. I will make sure I put that in the description. What a
Thank you.
powerful conversation. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Awesome. Thank you, Charlene. See you next time.
Hey, thank you so much for listening. Hey, I want to invite you to join my Substack community. I actually have a free newsletter that I send you every month when you join. There's also another level to it. If you're a paid subscriber, you actually get a copy of my book, When the Moment Chooses You, and signed by me, as well as the access to a Q&A segment that we do and other live shows that I'll be doing. I'm also going to be doing a special Awaken Align class for those who want to really pursue their destiny and seize those moments that are in their life. So join that community. I'm trying to move things over there so I can have more contact with people. So I'll see you over there. I'll put the link down to join. And basically, it's only like $10 a month and $8 a month if you do the yearly subscription. So I look forward to seeing you over in that community. Thank you. And I love and appreciate all of you. Bye bye.